Hello and welcome to my next episode of Motley Views. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite monster films, Monster Squad. Monster Squad is a movie about 6 kids that find themselves against the combined mights of Dracula, the Mummy, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein's creature, who arrive in town in search for a magic amulet that'll help them take over the world. While being financially unsuccessful during its theatrical run and receiving mixed reviews from critics, the film has gained a positive reception from audiences and has become a cult classic over the years since its release. Directed by Fred Dekker. Written by Shane Black and Fred Dekker. Produced by Jonathan Zimbert, Rob Cohen, Peter Hyams, and Keith Barrett. Starring Andrew Gower as Sean Crenshaw, Ryan Lambry as Rudy, Ashley Banks as Phoebe Crenshaw, Duncan Regehr as Dracula, John Grease as Uncle Rico, Tom Noonan as Frankenstein's creature, and the mom from Goonies playing the mom from Monster Squad. In 1985, director Fred Dekker wanted to reboot the old Universal monster movies, using The Little Rascals as an in after watching Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein. Collaborating with his friend and roommate Shane Black, they quickly wrote a script for Monster Squad. For obvious reasons, they went to Universal with the premise and script, but Universal Pictures passed on it. I'll come back to this later, but I feel this was a very dumb move on their part. In my research of this movie, I learned about the master shot. It's a shot where the whole scene plays out uncut. You can then later on cut in close-ups, reactions, cutaways, or anything else that's needed for the scene. You always can come back to the master shot if needed. It helps keep everyone on the same page during production. Fred Dekker was a fairly inexperienced director when he made this film, with only one directing credit under his belt before this. So he was learning new techniques himself while making the film. I learned one too. Now, I know I mentioned who starred in this film, but the true stars are Stan Winston's designs for these monsters. Unfortunately, or fortunately, since the movie wasn't picked up by Universal Pictures, the designs had to be adjusted so they did not look exactly like Universal's versions of these characters. Like Dracula's widow peak, or Frankenstein's flat head, or the way that the creature looked, his face. Stan Winston was instructed by production to redesign the monsters so they would be recognizable, but not infringing on Universal's copyright. I gotta say, they knocked it out of the park for all of them. Stan Winston himself would design each monster with pencil drawings and assign one of his artists to each monster to build the costume. Everyone did an excellent job. The prologue starts 100 years ago in Dracula's castle. For giggles, I watched it in black and white, and man, does it look fantastic. I almost wish the filmmakers would have done this in the first place. It would really help sell the idea from the get-go that these were the classic movie monsters of yesteryear. After the prologue, we jump to modern day, where we meet 2 of our main characters, Sean and Patrick, who are being reprimanded by their school principal for not paying attention in class because of their excessive drawing of monsters instead. Boy, can I relate to that. I was drawing all the time in school, often getting in trouble for it. I could have easily been sitting in the room with these kids. Something I always do when I see comic books in movies is try to find out what issue it is and if it has any value, especially if the comic is destroyed in the movie. The issue in this scene is Wonder Woman Volume 2, Number 3. Fortunately, it's only worth about $6 to $8. I've been doing this ever since I saw Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, way back when, and a copy of Amazing Spider-Man $2.99 was ripped up.
Oh, I am so sure. They must think we're really stupid. They're gonna kill Spider-Man with plutonium. He's got radioactive blood.
Yeah? Let me see that. Hey, man.
That comic is worth up to $400 now. That's really tough to watch. Oh, Rudy, that dude looks like he's trying hard to be Danny Zuko. Smoking too? What are you, 15? Ugh. Where did Dracula get that awesome car? He dropped out of a cargo plane like 5 minutes ago. I didn't see no Hearst dealership anywhere. I will say though, this version of Dracula is probably the most evil version I've ever seen.
Give me the amulet, you bitch!
I really like the human side of the werewolf. He is actively trying to stop the monster from within. It reminds me of the Incredible Hulk, and I think John Grease does an awesome job conveying how intense he is. Uncle Rico for the win! His non-death scenes are pretty awesome too. I remember as a kid wondering why Dracula addressed Frankenstein as old friend. But as I got older, I understood it's because they were the first movie monsters. Both of their movies came out in 1931 through Universal Pictures. I almost feel it was a missed opportunity for Dracula not to say,
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! Oh, in the name of God! Now I know what it feels like to be God!
oh well. I know it's uncomfortable, but seeing that the parents are having marital problems, it's a real thing, and witnessing it from the eyes of the children was really well done too. Here you have these kids' natural protectors coming apart. That's got to get a sense of vulnerability for Sean, especially for what he's about to go through. I also like that even though the sister is part of it, she's too young to understand, and they handled that really well. I have to give it to Black & Decker. Through all the cross language, they really know how to write kids. Eugene's room is so awesome. So many fun things to look for in there. This kid's like 6, and he's got a Punisher poster on the wall. And later, another shot of his room, he's got Spider-Man, the Hulk, Jim Starlin's Dreadstar. That's a deep cut, but it's nice to see. And real talk, how pissed would I be if I woke my dad up to tell him there was a monster in my closet, and not only does he not look inside, but he makes fun of me instead. I'd be in therapy for years. But I guess it's not really a big deal, because before the dad even leaves the bedroom, the mummy's gone. I don't care. I love it. Well, this seems familiar. I've seen this before.
Boys,
Into a scene that subverts our expectations.
a
Nice transition.
It's your last chance for pie.
Thanks,
Now,
Mr.
here we go.
I mean, no thanks.
Now, being such a fan of the Frankenstein story, this moment in the movie was really beautiful. It's a nice touch when he looks at the mask of himself and disregards it like his creator did to him. It's got a lot of weight for the character. Then confessing his deformity to the kids. They understand being outcast themselves. Finally, the creature has a community that will accept him for who he is. It's a no-brainer that he would become very loyal to them all. His relationship with Phoebe is especially sweet, considering in the original Universal movie, the first person the creature meets in the outside world is a little girl that he accidentally kills. Maybe this is his way of making amends for what he did before. I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling. Can't have an 80s movie without a bitchin' montage. In this movie, the creature from the Black Lagoon was actually given a name, the Gill Man. I like it, and I also really like his updated look. It's like piranhas with sharp teeth. Nice upgrade for modern times.
I do regret the dosage, my friend.
Drugging your main henchman to keep him around? Evil! Seriously,
Bye.
Dracula is so evil in this.
But then, human standards do not apply, do they?
Sean, maybe we can be like Math Squad instead, you know. Do math problems. Stay home.
Man, I always
Ninja
loved this
Squad.
line.
We could look at rocks, collect birds, not be dead. See, it's so
Look at that,
everything I'm not
Horace,
crazy about.
making sense. Now, of course, you cannot have a Monster Squad review without this line in here.
Kick him in the nose! Kick him in the nose! He doesn't have nose! Do it! Do it! Wolfman's got nards! Come on! Come on!
Now, seriously, folks, this is why we're here. This sequence is so awesome. The lighting, the editing, the camera angles, the set design, the costumes. The movie is like an Avengers-level adventure for fans of the classic movie monsters, and it delivers on that promise. So much fun.
What are you doing? Haven't you read the Hardy Boys? You pull some lever down and the secret door opens! You've got to be kidding! You have a better idea!
Meeting adjourned.
Dracula! You are so evil, bro! He fully expected kids to be in there. And he throws a funny line in for good measure. Evil! Now, I'm not going to go into any more story elements. Go watch the movie for yourself. The last 20 minutes are what it all leads up to, and everyone gets their moment to shine. It is awesome. The whole movie is quite short at 82 minutes with credit, so it's a breeze to get through. What I do want to talk about is its legacy, which I had no idea about due to my own relationship with the film, which I'll get to in a moment. Monster Squad was produced with a budget of $14 million and was released on August 17, 1987, 1 week after Masters of the Universe and 2 weeks after The Lost Boys. Unfortunately, due to poor marketing, the date of release, and some say its PG-13 rating, which I feel is earned due to the violence and language, the movie opened at $3 million, landing it at 12th place for the box office that week. The next week, it barely got to $1 million. The movie was pulled from theaters the following week after that. All that hard work for nothing. So, I actually did see this in the theater when I was a sock with my mom and sister. We were going to see a double feature of Masters of the Universe and Monster Squad. At the time, I was obsessed with He-Man, so I was very excited to see him kick Skeletor and Beastman all over Eternia in live action. I also knew my mom liked the old monster movies, so I could see why she'd want to take us to see this double feature. Well, Masters of the Universe came on first. Not exactly what I expected or wanted, but okay. Next was Monster Squad, which I had little frame of reference other than the way these monsters looked. So, honestly, I had a lot of fun with the movie. I remember asking my mom during the film what the old man's tattoos were about. She said he was in a concentration camp. I knew what that meant, and the gravity of the scary German guy's plight got real. Even as a kid, understanding that we were watching these fantastic monsters on screen, we cannot forget that real monsters do exist in real life. That's some deep stuff for a kid's movie. After the movie was over, I'll never forget my mom saying, "Sorry, dear, but I think I liked Monster Squad more than He-Man." And I responded, "Yeah, I think I did too." I know I actively seeked out to read Dracula and then Frankenstein shortly after seeing this movie because I liked it so much. My mom had a paperback for Dracula, so I had easy access to read it. I am also happy to admit that my mom paid for 3 movie tickets that day to support the squad. Go, Mom. So, when this movie came out on VHS, I rented it a few times and I loved it every time I saw it. I had no idea this movie flopped until I read about these sold-out screenings in the early 2000s. It's really upsetting to hear how the filmmakers felt after seeing their movie fail at the box office. So much heart and soul went into making this, and you can see it. In all honesty, I've been there myself. You put out work that you hope will resonate with the audience, and when it doesn't, you just feel so defeated. Like you just don't want to be an artist anymore. So, I feel their pain. Monster Squad is such a wonderful love letter to the old Universal monster movies, so it is so frustrating to hear that they passed on it in the beginning. I feel that if they would made it theirs, the marketing would have been through the roof. They may have released the movie during the Halloween season, and not so close to other movies like The Lost Boys. Monster Squad would have been a brand all over the Universal parks, making it a staple during the Halloween horror nights. I have no doubt it would have been a huge hit in Universal's hands. It did ultimately make its money back 20 years later in 2007 for its 20th anniversary DVD set, which sold through the roof. The DVD only happened due to fan support of the film and demanding that the movie be released on digital media. Lionsgate went all out with the DVD with extra features, what was a really nice thing to do for the fans. Personally, I'm very happy for the makers of the movies to finally get their due. It is very well deserved. There have been talks of sequels and reboots, but if I had my druthers, I'd have the next one be with the kids in high school going up against the classic sci-fi monsters from the 50s, like The Blob, The Thing from Another World, or Gort the Robot. Then have the kids in college for the modern slashers like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, or the Ghostface in the third movie. But to be honest, I kind of like that there's only one movie. It really makes it special. But, I'd welcome a sequel if it happened. So, if you like this movie, I would suggest seeing Wolfman's Got Nards. It's a wonderful companion documentary about the legacy and the love of Monster Squad. It's directed by Andre Gower, who played the lead Sean Crenshaw in the movie. The first half is about the making of the movie told through the people involved, and the second half is about the cultural resurgence since its initial release told through the fans. There is a lot of emotional moments in it. The next movie I'd recommend are the first movies from Universal Pictures of each of the monsters represented in this one. So, Dracula, 1931. Frankenstein, 1931. The Mummy, from 1932. The Wolfman, from 1941. And The Creature from the Black Lagoon, from 1954. Each of these movies are good enough to set up the monster characters from Monster Squad. Have a 7.5-hour marathon with all 5 of these, and then finish them up with Monster Squad. Bonus if you can watch Monster Squad's prologue in black and white. I highly recommend it. The last movie I'd recommend is Lost Boys. Now, I'm probably going to get chastised for this, but hear me out. I feel it is a very similar movie, but I watched it for this analysis, and it is a fun movie with its own collection of quotable lines. But it's part of the conversation on why Monster Squad didn't do so well, so I'd say watch it and compare. Both movies are good, but I'd honestly, after watching Lost Boys again, I feel the movie is very elevated by its soundtrack. It just goes to show how music and sound can really improve a film. Monster Squad is such a fun movie. With a very short runtime, it just picks up and goes. I know it has some offensive lines, but if you can get past that, it is really a great movie for families during Halloween. I highly recommend this film. So, if you want to watch a great film perfect for Halloween season, then watch this movie. If you want to watch an epic Avengers-level monster movie, then watch this movie. If you want to watch a funny and scary adventure film with questionable dialogue that screams for a sequel, then watch this movie. Again. My name is Motley, and you are watching Motley Views. Goodbye.